Hi there. Today, um, um, today I'm well. Today I'm going to practice my technique for improving pronunciation. So now I'm going to talk for next 30 minutes about pronunciation, but again I want to start from just pronouncing sounds, and then probably the rest of the video I'll just discuss whatever comes to my mind and everything that can help me to improve my pronunciation. It's a kind of brainstorming about pronunciation, but first practice. So yesterday I tried to start working on a new approach, so I took new words, I practiced them while I was recording myself, and then I memorized these words, and after that I practiced these words for a few more times during the day, and it was awesome. Now I can repeat them like these words and then start learning new words. So yesterday's words were and sample, and sample, back, bad, back, bad, pass, had, have, happen, jacket, jacket, happen, no, happen is natural, natural. That's all. Yeah. Again, and sample, sample, bad, back, pass, had, have, that's awful, jacket, happen, there's one more word, natural, yeah, natural, natural, really difficult. I mean, I need to practice more days and work on these words more than just one day to make them sound perfect, but now at least I can be aware when I use these words. I can master these words, and every time when I say a word like natural, for example, I said it incorrectly. Today, for example, I was watching a video about pronunciation, and it was a video about this sound R, R, so how you need to put your mouth in, your position of your mouth, your lips, your tongue, when you pronounce the sound R. And a girl who were talking about this sound, she used the word back many times, like you must put your tongue back to back up. I forget exactly, but the point was she used the word back, and while I'm watching her videos, I usually repeat everything she says. So I just put my headphones and I just listen, and I repeat after her immediately, without pauses, just repeating what she is talking, and so I just repeated a few times back, but it was fast. I hadn't time to think, but after I said a few times back incorrectly, like back, it's like I mastered this word back, and then third time I said it right. Then wow, that's amazing. So I can work on it, and it will gradually be improved. So let's memorize or just learn new 10 words. Action, action, after, attitude, attitude. I thought it was like attitude, attitude, attitude. So I pronounce it incorrectly all the time, because when I use this word, I used to say attitude, your attitude, 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 your attitude, attitude. Horrible. Okay, I'll just check. I feel a little bit incorrect when attitude, 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 attitude. Your attitude is, yeah, when I need to say it loudly, it sounds better when attitude. It's like this attitude, 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 like attitude, not attitude, 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 attitude. Your attitude. Oh, it's now it's like makes. I make a better sound. Okay, attitude, attitude, attitude. Your attitude. Animals, animals, animals. Not animal, not animal. Animals, animals. Oh no, it's animal. Yeah, it's like N. When there's N after a sound, it's not a, it's a, like man, man, attitude, or animal, man. It's like man, man, animal, man, manimal, manimal, animal. Okay, animal. Actually, but the point is just to put the tone in the right position. So when I say animal, I start animal. Oh, it's like it looks correct. Animal, 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 animal. Look at the animal. Oh, it's like really. I use like I'm not emphasizing it too much. Maybe that's okay. Animal. Like this sounds like and when you and animal, man. Okay. So animal and actually, actually, family, not family, family. Perhaps. That's a really difficult word. I'm practicing this word for I'm consciously trying to say it all the time as native speakers, and I learned this word like a few years ago, I remember, and I tried a few years ago. I tried to sound like perhaps. And there's a R here, say perhaps, especially in British pronunciation. Like I like how it sounds when native speakers say it, but I can't say it in the same exact way. Like perhaps, not perhaps, 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 perhaps. Okay, perhaps, exactly, exactly, like that. Exactly. Well, mathematics, and here we have two sounds like mathematics, but the second sound is unstressed, and so it's like mathematics. When it's unstressed, it doesn't sound like sounds like mathematics. Okay, mathematics. Oh, just another word. Okay, like I am, not am. I am somebody who's talking right now to the camera. Okay, let's memorize these words and practice them simultaneously. So action after attitude, animal. Now let's animal, family. Yeah, it's like M. Yeah, animal, family. M, animal, family. It's like three words with a, animal, family, family, and M. M, animal, family. Okay, these three words. And other seven are action after attitude, 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 attitude. Action after attitude. Actually, yeah, action actually, attitude after, perhaps, exactly, mathematics. Okay, action, 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 actually, after, attitude, perhaps, exactly, mathematics, 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 action, actually, attitude, perhaps, exactly, mathematics. I missed one. After. No. Action. Yeah. Action. Actually. Attitude. After. Exactly. Mathematics. What else? Perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps. Exactly. Mathematics. Action. Action. Actually. Attitude. After. Perhaps. Exactly. Exactly. Mathematics. Okay, and family, and animal. Not family, animal. Okay, so now I can remember all these words, and so during the next part of the day, I'll practice them a few times, and and I improve my pronunciation of this sound. And again, again. It's really hard work. I mean, the point is to focus on this work and don't be upset about that. Yesterday I heard myself talking again to, like, when I recorded this video yesterday. I was here after I recorded it. At the end of the day, I watched it again, and I really didn't like how I sound. So I was thinking, wow, my pronunciation. Like, I'm working on my pronunciation. That's like, well, while I'm working, of course, it's okay. But then I started talking to myself for 10 or 15 minutes, trying to prove something, like trying to convince myself that that's okay, what I make mistakes. And I was talking something about putting these videos on YouTube, and there was a kind of dialogue with an imaginary listener, and and as I said, there was a really weak pronunciation, and I was thinking, wow, it's like I was upset a little bit, and then I tried to tell to myself, like, don't be upset, like, that's okay, you can pronounce these words, and your pronunciation isn't perfect, but it shouldn't be perfect. Like, you do whatever you can to do, like, you invest every day 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes, but actually it's more than 30 minutes. Just you work right now for 30 minutes every day, like talking to yourself, but also you repeat these words, you work on them. If it doesn't work, it's not your fault. The point is that you need more time, and so there's no need to be completely upset with this pronunciation. So you can just focus on it, you can work on it during these 30 minutes, and then that's okay. It's not like an excuse, because of course I'm not trying to make an excuse that if I'm working on my pronunciation for 30 minutes, and that minutes every day, and if it doesn't work, it's like, oh, but I've done whatever I could. Yeah, I do my best. It's not, of course, it's not the truth, because I want to make my pronunciation perfect, and so it's a real problem. But it also holds me back when I try to focus on real thoughts, because I know that my purpose is not just to to teach somebody how to pronounce things or to teach somebody English. I use this for thoughts development, for self-analysis. This exercise, when I record myself and I focus on my thoughts, it's really amazing exercise. I like to do that. I like to see myself every day like a new version of myself. I like to see whether I will say something meaningful or I just will, just stand in front of the camera and trying to, to say something, but with no result. But again, it's like an exercise. I don't think it's something like what I teach somebody. Like lots of people who publish videos on YouTube, they do it in order to impress others, in order to attract attention to themselves, in order to in order to become famous, or there's lots of reasons actually involved. And it's not my motivation. My motivation is like I published on YouTube because like all these videos, they I don't like to store them on my computer because I don't have too much place. And also I like to put them on YouTube in order to be able to watch them on a fast speed. And it's my personal history in some sense. And I'm working on it and I like it. And I like to see what I can tell. It's like I do this exercise for myself. I talk about different stuff to understand better what's going on, what I'm doing, why I'm doing this or that, why I'm what's my motivation, what I'm thinking about most of the time, what are really important things which I have to pay attention. And it's my exercise. And of course I shouldn't sound perfect. The most important thing is to be able to understand yourself. And since I can understand myself, since I can talk to myself really easily about stuff which I like, there's no too it's not too important to focus on pronunciation and talk again and again to yourself that you must master pronunciation. But the problem is that when I watch it, I don't like it. Because I watch other, I'm watching lots of different lots of stuff on the internet. And then when I watch myself and when I watch stuff on the internet, I become upset. It's almost unconscious. I don't do it on purpose, and I don't like to do that. I mean, I don't like to really be upset with watching my videos. I know that it's unimportant. I know that it's not to some degree it's important, but it's really low degree. What's really important is focusing on your thoughts, on your ideas, developing them, not on pronunciation. But pronunciation bothers me, and I want to do something to get rid of this kind of background thought that doesn't that holds me back when I try to really focus on my thoughts. That's the problem. Because by real focus, I mean I like to it was exactly what I said yesterday. I like to talk to myself every day, 30 minutes, seeing who am I, what I'm doing. And then I like to publish these videos on YouTube. And after that I like to watch them. So I want to make this a kind of, video journal. And I want to put it on YouTube. And I want to do it every day. And I record the video, then I put it on YouTube, then I watch it. But I don't feel that, when I watch them, I feel really terrible. That's the problem. I have my journals, lots of journals, and some of them are journals of 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and maybe the first part of 2014. I don't like these journals. I don't like what's written there. I don't like myself in that time. Not sometimes, of course, I like what I wrote there, but most of the time it's some gibberish. And and I accepted that. I published that on the internet, and I don't care too much about that it's not my ideal. And but I didn't publish these journals while I was writing them. I could put them in my books and keep them in my books and do it for myself. And when I reached this state when I already realized that my writing improved a lot, and now, for example, it was 2015 when I realized that I can write like a classical writer. So my language, my style, it's like a language of Dostoevsky, language of Tolstoy, language of Turgenev, Pushkin, Lermontov, etc. So at that time I realized, and I started publishing this, and I was like really kind of proud of my, but it wasn't proud. I mean, I liked to read what I wrote. I liked to work with that information, and but if I imagine myself now back in this time, and when I was writing like every day for my journal, like when it was really terrible, when I really didn't like it, I put all this in my, like if I started publishing that, my journal at that time, I probably wouldn't go too far. I probably just maybe even stop after a month or a few months. Because I know it takes tremendous amount of time. It's like 5 years. It took me more than 5 years to accept, like to improve my writing to the point when I could accept that, when I can say, okay, now I can share it with everybody. I can tell, like I can show my writing everybody. Even I can say, like I can, I can even say that it's like the best writing, and I can argue about that. I can I can compare my writing with some classical writer and just look different, approaches, different, like, yeah, I'm not boasting about my achievements. I know how it came to that point. I don't like to publish it on YouTube, and I want to achieve the level of English, and now I mean basically it's all about pronunciation, where I can watch myself after recording the video and say, oh, now I sound not like perfect, but at least like, to some degree close to a native speaker. It's like I don't care about native speakers, but I don't like when I sound not as a native speaker. And I know that the most important thing is understanding. Nobody cares too much, like not nobody, but really people who search for knowledge, and people whom I can admire and whose opinion I can take seriously. These people don't care about pronunciation at all. So if I, for example, publish a video and somebody watches the video and say me something like, man, like your pronunciation is terrible, you must work on your pronunciation, and I probably will not take this command seriously, because I know that it's terrible, I'm working on it, that's okay. And if if you focus on my pronunciation and you can't see like the content, my thoughts, what I'm talking about, and how I'm doing that, well, probably there's your opinion, like you can just keep it to yourself. And and I just will not take you seriously. But if somebody, like if a native speaker watches it, I understand that those people who really can see what I'm talking about, these people who can who have a similar experience, not in like learning languages, but in life in general, like their worldview, their like path that they went through, like books which they read, like their observations and their their work, like how they get through all this, like their experience. I know that these people actually will not care how I say this or that word if it doesn't look like a native speaker's pronunciation, because it's like when you write a book, and so you just have really deep, amazing thoughts, and you just put these thoughts in, like Chernyshevsky, for example. He wasn't a writer, but when he wrote this What to Do, что делать, he just said, I'm not a writer, and but he tried to make a plot and to write really a novel. And after he wrote this novel, there were some critics who really criticized him for his his writing style. And after that, lots of our critics like Pisarev, and especially Pisarev, he was like anti-aesthetician. And for example, if we take Nietzsche, he was immoralist. Like his ideas and his approach was oriented on like attacking morality in general. And Pisarev was anti-aesthetician. He like hated art for art. So for him, art was essential, not because like art, not it didn't have value in itself. It has value like in educating people, like making their conscious, making them self-aware, self-conscious, like making them, you know. So art for art doesn't work. It's like from this point. And in my case now, I see also that like, when I'm trying to focus a lot on form, I just lose my depth, depth of my thoughts, and I just it's like another part of me, like like it's exactly like kind of dualism. So one part of me, which is like wants to work on thoughts and which works to talk about something important, just you focus on this pronunciation. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead, say something meaningful, tell about what you are doing, books you are reading, your experience, your all these insights you have every single day. Try to talk about this instead of focusing on pronunciation. Another part of me tells no. I need to improve myself to the point when it sounds better. And now I feel that it doesn't sound better, and it's like a kind of it's like kind of self-critique, maybe. Yeah, I know that it's since I start talking about something that I like, I forget immediately about my pronunciation, and maybe it can even sound to me like not so awful. But when I just trying to focus on this awful stuff, maybe I need to talk about them a little less, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, practicing pronunciation, then forget about it to the next day. But I want to make it look like I don't want to make it like 30 minutes of waste of time. I know that these 30 minutes can help me to improve my pronunciation. And well, let's repeat these words. Animal, family. Action, actually, after. Attitude, perhaps, exactly. Mathematics, yeah. That's all. Once more. Family, animal. Action, family, animal. Action, actually. Attitude, after, exactly, perhaps, mathematics. 10 words. We'll practice them today, and next day I can even make, like, today I already know 20 words which contain this sound and I can just keep them in my memory for. I can keep them in my memory for till I will be able to say them perfectly. Okay, pronunciation. It's also important to make exercises for articulation. Something like this. I've noticed it helps a lot. I mean, now I'm not